Solara, Yeldarb, and Isara made their way through Titanum Forest toward the haven of the fairies. Melisari floated in the air beside them, as if an invisible hand was holding her aloft. Her skin was pale. Her hands rested over makeshift bandages wrapped around her torso. Yeldarb's eyes darted to the ground beneath Melisari. His body was tense as he walked. He was worried she would fall.
You can relax, friend. Fey magic is different from the kind that courses through your Talion veins. Ours is older, stronger, and it will not falter.
How is that possible? I thought the Magiri brought magic to Devine, Yeldarb asked. Solara nodded.
They did, in a way. It was magic that could be learned. It could be taught. It could be wielded by anyone. Ours is one that cannot be shared. You are among the first to see it outside of our people.
Isara chuckled. History's just one perspective, Yeldarb. It's not infallible. I know that, Yeldarb grunted, trying to hide the fact that his worldview had been fractured by the realization. Can your magic heal her? Isara asked. Solara stopped, her wings fluttering behind her. She looked to her left, and then to her right.
We shall see,
she replied. Solara waved her hand through the air in front of her. The view of the forest ahead shimmered like the surface of water. She pushed her hand forward, sending more ripples through reality. She whispered something ancient and unknowable under her breath. Yeldarb strained to hear the incantation, but couldn't identify even a single syllable. Even so, the forest listened. The trees and strange plants in front of them stretched and pulled apart. A portal opened in the air, and beyond it, an entire village awaited them. It looked almost identical to the one that had been destroyed in their prior battle with Blackheart. Solara floated to the side and gestured to the shimmering doorway.
Go on through.
Yeldarb and Isara stepped past the threshold as Solara followed with Melisari's floating body. As the doorway closed behind them, Yeldarb and Isara took in their surroundings. Above the small buildings of the village, a shimmering dome surrounded them on all sides. Its surface glistened with every color imaginable, like the surface of a bubble. It's beautiful, Isara remarked.
A glamour surrounds the entire village. I did not cast it, though. This haven has been here for many Krona. It is not a perfect shelter. It can be breached. However, from the outside, it looks like any other stretch of forest,
Solara said. She motioned for the others to follow her. They made their way through the village to the center. Other fairies emerged from the small buildings beneath their feet, fluttering through the air on silent wings. Yeldarb and Isara heard their hushed whispers. At first they assumed it was because of their presence, but instead, they quickly realized the fairies were instead mesmerized by the presence of an elf. For once, we're not the most shocking sight, Yeldarb said with a chuckle. Feels weird, Isara said. The fairies descended on Melisari.
She is gravely wounded. We must help her,
Solara said. All at once the fairies froze. Yeldarb and Isara stepped back as they fluttered back into their houses like a school of frightened fish. A shrill shriek filled the air. What's happening? Yeldarb asked, covering his ears.
They sense the presence of the rot on her,
Solara replied. What? Do you mean she's infected? Isara asked. Solara shook her head.
No, but she carries its scent. We all do.
Solara looked around her. She let out a high-pitched whistle that echoed through the village. A skittering sound came from the left. Yeldarb and Isara watched as a small squirrel with brown fur and black lines running down its back approached Solara. I've never known a squirrel to come when it's called, Yeldarb said. Solara smiled.
This is no ordinary squirrel.
Solara floated down to the squirrel and scratched it behind the ears with her tiny hands. The squirrel's head tilted to the side. If it could smile, it would have.
Kevindra is one of the ancients.
Odd name for a squirrel, Yeldarb said.
He chose it for himself. I think it fits him.
Isara stepped forward, leaning down to get a closer look at the creature. It chose its own name? Are you saying it can talk? She asked.
Not in a language that you would understand,
Solara explained. Isara looked over to Yeldarb, who was a self-proclaimed master of Devine history. Yeldarb nodded and cleared his throat. He loved moments like this. Ah, yes, the ancients. It is said that the Eleuthian Titans created one of each creature in Devine to start, They bestowed upon these creatures intelligence very similar to our own. They soon realized this was a mistake, but they did not wish to kill their creations. So instead, they allowed them to live, but made it so that their brethren would be simple creatures, as nature intended. Solara nodded, a smile growing across her face.
The Titans experimented with many things in the early epochs of Devine, but some things should not be changed. Even so, I'm grateful for my friend. We've had many adventures together. Isn't that right, Kevindra?
The squirrel sat up on its hind legs and let out a series of chirps.
Kevindra says he's impressed with your knowledge, Yeldarb.
Yeldarb stifled a smile and nodded. Tell him I said thank you. Solara laughed.
I don't need to. He understands you just fine.
Yeldarb's eyes went wide. As he looked down, Kevindrel made eye contact with him. It was a strange sensation.
Kevindra, can you please bring me my medicine bag?
Solara asked. The squirrel scurried off. Solara examined Melisari's wounds more closely. Yeldarb and Isara looked on in silence. How long will it take for her to heal? Yeldarb asked.
It's difficult to say. Weeks, most likely. A time mark at the most. We need to stop the bleeding first.
The squirrel returned, carrying a bag in its mouth. It set the bag down and looked at Solara, then to Melisari. We don't have that kind of time, Yeldarb shouted.
Yeldarb is right. We need every one of us to stop Blackheart,
Isara added. Solara pulled several small glass bottles out of the bag and set them on the ground.
Sorry, but a wound like this takes time to heal.
The ground shook violently beneath their feet. The crack of trees snapping echoed from outside the fairy's haven. What in Titan's name was that? Yeldarb asked.
I don't know. Can you two go look? I will watch over our elven friend.
Yeldarb and Isara leapt back through the border of the glamour and into Titanum Forest. The ground shook beneath their feet again.
What in the name of the Titans is that?
Isara asked. Yeldarb followed her pointed finger with his gaze until he looked upon something he had only read about in the scrolls detailing Devine's history. In the distance, a massive leg made of shimmering metal crushed a swath of the forest with ease. Its foot lifted up before crashing down again. It was a machine of incredible size. It's a Mechanarch! Yeldarb shouted.
A Mechanarch?
Titan technology, Yeldarb replied. And I think I know who is at the helm. Isara's fists clenched. Flames licked the surface of her skin. Yeldarb reached out and grabbed her shoulder. The fire seared his flesh, but he didn't let go. Isara, look at me, he whispered. Her eyes, glimmering pools of rage, turned toward him.
I can stop him,
Isara growled. We don't know that. No living soul on Devine has ever laid eyes on a Mechanarch, let alone fought one. It's too risky. Isara pulled her shoulder away. Flames continued to spread across her skin. Isara, control yourself, Yeldarb roared. She shook her head. I cannot lose you! Do you understand that? If you fight that thing and you lose, Blackheart will not hesitate to kill you. Isara looked away. Her voice shifted.
That's your problem, Yeldarb. You've always been too weak. You can't protect her from me forever.
You? No, this isn't possible. She has you under control. Isara shrugged.
It seems things have changed.
Isara tore off into the forest at full speed, chasing after the lumbering metal titan. Isara! Yeldarb screamed. His body screamed to him to chase after her. His mind knew he couldn't leave Melisari behind. He cursed beneath his breath and ran back toward the glamour. The air pulled itself open once more as he approached, letting him inside. Solara was still alone with Melisari, though Yeldarb could feel the eyes of the other fairies on him. Solara, it's Blackheart. He's somehow procured a Mechanarch, Yeldarb said. Solara raised an eyebrow.
Who is Blackheart?
Blackheart is the knight who wounded Melisari. Listen, I need you to take this Kintari stone and use it to communicate with the others. Isara's gone after him. The rage demon in her has somehow gained control of her body, Yeldarb said, handing Solara the Kintari stone.
Very well, but what about the Mechanarch? Where was it heading?
Solara asked. It was heading northwest, toward the edge of the forest. Yeldarb's eyes went wide. By the Titans.
What is it?
Solara asked. Finton tried to warn us about Blackheart before we were attacked by him, Yeldarb said. Solara quickly put the pieces together.
We need to find him, Fenton, now. We cannot stop this Blackheart or the rot without him.
Yeldarb nodded. Kevindrel let out a series of low chirps. Solara shot him a look.
Absolutely not.
She said. What's it saying? Yeldarb asked.
He was saying that he wants to go with you.
I have no need for a squirrel, though I do commend his bravery, Yeldarb said. Kevindrel let out 2 more low chirps, followed by a growl more adorable than it was threatening.
I need you here, though.
Solara said.
Can't you understand that?
Kevindrel chirped twice before scurrying up Yeldarb's leg and planting himself squarely on the Talian's shoulder. Yeldarb's eyes went wide. Now wait just a moment. I never agreed to this. Solara sighed as a smile crossed her face.
There's no use arguing with him, Yeldarb. Squirrels can be quite stubborn.
Yeldarb sighed. I'll take your word for it. Very well, but you better not slow me down. Kevindrel let out a few satisfied chirps. All right. Use the stone to contact the others once Melisari is awake. Both our groups carry them, Finton included. Yeldarb turned to leave.
Oh, Yeldarb?
Solara said. Yeldarb paused. Yes?
Arm comes to Kevindrel. Know that I will tear Devine down to its foundations in my quest for vengeance. Do not let anything happen to my friend.
Yeldarb felt a chill touch his spine. He'd never known a fairy to be so terrifying. He nodded. I understand. And with that, Yeldarb and Kevindrel set off to find Finton Merrybrook. Sarai had been tracking the mysterious knight known as Blackheart for days. She was an expert tracker. It should have been easy work. And yet, she constantly found herself losing his trail. Finton had suspected the man was somehow infected by the rot, but upon seeing how he moved without leaving a trail, Sarai was convinced. And when Blackheart did leave behind traces of his movements, it was almost as if he did so on purpose, to confuse and disorient the person tailing him. Sarai had been all over Titanum Forest, but soon she had more than just footprints and disturbed plant life to guide her. First came the explosion. The rush of heat, the pillar of fire rising into the sky. Sarai scaled one of the nearby trees when she heard it. Living vines nipped at her like hungry dogs, but she quickly made it to the top and broke free of the forest's canopy. A rage demon roared in the distance.
Isara,
Sarai whispered. She descended back to the forest floor and made her way toward the fighting. She was there in a short time, but when she arrived, only smoke and ashes remained. It looked like a tidal wave had swept through the forest. She tried to piece together what had happened, only to pick up Blackheart's trail. His gait had changed. He was wounded. Sarai followed his trail for another day, weaving in and out of the forest like the path of a panicked snake. Eventually she reached the coast, only to find nothing. It didn't make any sense. That is, until another explosion shook the ground beneath her feet. A column of water this time in the distance, followed by the shape of a man made from metal, a towering machine that she had heard about only in stories.
a mechanarch?
Sarai asked. She dove back into the trees, hoping to stay out of its sight. She held her breath as its crashing footsteps entered the forest nearby. She could hear the electric buzz of its scanners. She could practically feel its digital eye on her. After what seemed like an eternity, it moved on. She let her breath out slow and watched as it headed due northwest. That's when her heart skipped a beat. It was heading toward the Radiant Refuge, where Finton was, where her children were. Sarai pulled the chronoscepter from its holster on her back. The polished wood staff glistened in her hands, and the metal sphere at its peak hummed with otherworldly energies. She had never used it before. Finton told her never to use it.
I don't have a choice,
she said. Sarai slammed the staff down onto the ground. Upon impact, cracks ran across the surface of the metal sphere. It blossomed like a flower, releasing a haunting blue light. Sarai stared into the blue orb of energy at its center. Within it, the machinations of time were laid bare. She spoke in the Old Tongue, the language of the guardians of the Chronoscepter, using it to command its power. The translation was simple. She commanded time to cease its movement. All around her, the very air froze in place. The wind ceased. The plants surrounding her all paused. Even the mechanarch's thundering footsteps were gone. Sarai laughed.
It worked!
She didn't have time to celebrate. She picked up the chronoscepter, the sphere on top still blooming like a flower. She didn't know how long it would work without another soul to power it, but she wouldn't waste a single second of her advantage. She ran for nearly a day without stopping. Time remained still, but her body cried out for rest as she pushed it to its limits. Her lungs burned like fire as she emerged in the clearing outside the unassuming building. Finton was outside, smoking from a tobacco pipe. Kenadara and Nolwenn were playing in the grass beside him. The smoke rings from Finton's mouth were frozen in the air. Beside him, Sarai's children were perfectly still, smiles painted across their faces. As Sarai arrived, she slammed the staff down once more. The sphere pulled itself shut, its surface returning to a smooth and mirror-like sheen. Time resumed. The laughter of children filled the air. Finton's eyes went wide as he spotted Sarai.
Sarai? When did you get back? I didn't even see you approaching.
Finton's eyes looked over to the chronoscepter in her hands.
What happened?
He asked. Sarai could barely breathe after all the running it took to get there.
Blackheart.
She wheezed.
Mechanarch.
Finton stood up and listened. It was faint, but he could hear the rumbling of the Mechanarch's footsteps in the distance.
How much time do we have?
He asked. Sarai shook her head.
Hours, maybe. I had to use it, Finton. It was the only way to get here in time to warn you.
Finton nodded.
I understand. You and your children need to head inside the Radiant Refuge.
Sarai slid the chronoscepter back into its holster. The sphere on top felt warm on her back.
What about you?
She asked.
We should all just hide in there.
Finton shook his head.
Blackheart won't stop until he gets what he's looking for. What the rot is looking for. I thought maybe the others could stop him or at the very least contain him, but I was wrong. I can't let anyone else get hurt.
Sarai didn't understand. She felt her children looking at her. They could tell something was wrong.
Finton, what are you talking about? We're in this together, remember? We have to fight!
Sarai shouted. Finton lowered his head. For the first time since she had met the Titan Bard, Finton was crying.
I have been fighting, he whispered. For eons. For lifetimes. I thought maybe this time would be different, but it's not. I know how this story ends.
Sarai stepped forward, extending her hand toward a friend. Finton stepped back. When he raised his eyes, they were filled with anger and regret.
I did this, Sarai! I brought the rot to Devine all those epochs ago, in a misguided attempt to bring back the ones I lost. I have been trying to pay for my sins ever since.
Finton, what are you talking about? You're not thinking clearly,
Sarai said. Finton reached into his leather bag and pulled out the magical key that would open the door to the Radiant Refuge. He tossed it to Sarai, who caught it without breaking eye contact.
I'm going to give him what he wants. I'm done running, Finton said.
Finton, please!
Get inside! Now!
Finton roared. Sarai had never seen him yell before. It caught her off guard. She gathered her children and ushered them inside, using the key to open a doorway to the safety of the Radiant Refuge. Finton waited until they shut the door. More tears came. A sadness and anguish washed over him that he had been carrying for more Krona than he could count. The footsteps of the Mechanarch got closer. Finton could feel each one shaking the ground beneath his feet.
Khosra,
he whispered.
I wasn't strong enough.
Soon the Mechanarch towered over him. A burst of steam shot out from the exhaust on its back. Finton looked up, barely able to see the visor across the head of the towering machine.
Get down here, brother!
Finton shouted. A hatch opened at the top of the Mechanarch. Blackheart climbed out and leapt off the top. He floated down slowly, carried by black tendrils that surrounded his silhouette. He landed on the ground in front of Finton, a twisted smile on his pale face.
I knew you'd see right through my disguise, he said. I'm done fighting. I know what you're looking for,
Finton said. Blackheart's smile faded, replaced by suspicion.
So you're just giving up? That's not like you, brother.
Finton sighed.
I've been doing this a long time. The guilt weighs heavy on my soul.
Blackheart gestured to the Mechanarch behind him.
And I'm assuming this ancient piece of Titan technology has nothing to do with your decision?
Finton looked up at the Mechanarch.
You know it does. Which brings me to my demands. If I go with you, if I tell you where it is, no more bloodshed.
Blackheart nodded, stroking his chin as he considered Finton's terms.
Interesting proposition. But I have a better idea. Finton saw the glint in Blackheart's eye. He reached for the chronosphere in his pouch, but he wasn't fast enough. Blackheart's gauntlet slammed into Finton's chest. The metal tips of the fingers punctured his skin. Black tendrils raced across the surface like starving rats. They dove into Finton's body, spreading across him like pools of ink. Finton fought the rot with all his might, but it had grown stronger in the time since he last faced it. Within moments, the Titan's eyes became as black as a starless sky. Blackheart pulled his hand back, a grin plastered across his face. "Ha ha! Much better! If only you could see yourself now, dear brother! The great Meribok, storyteller and bard, felled by the rot, by entropy and decay. It's almost poetic." Finton remained silent, staring forward with his blackened eyes. Streaks of black crawled beneath his skin, which had become pale as moonlight. Blackheart cleared his throat. "Now that we're on the same page, tell me, where did you hide the other chronospheres? I know they're somewhere near Giant's Bane. It's why the Verak Horde chose to invade that kingdom first." Finton's face remained stoic. The voice that escaped his lips was monotone, lifeless. "Seek the tomb where marigolds grow." Blackheart clapped his hands together excitedly. "Ha ha! See? That wasn't so hard now, was it? Now come along, brother! We're going to need a lot of souls to power all those chronospheres. I think a kingdom's worth should do the trick." Blackheart and Finton floated back up to the hatch atop the Mechanarch, carried by the dark magic of the rot. Once inside, the towering machine resumed its march toward the kingdom of Giant's Bane.